I'm going to read you a passage from Light on Life. It's a passage that is in the Yoga Sadhana booklet. And it's a passage that I think specifically relates to this level. One of the things that we did when we first set up the school and established the school, at some point we started to organize the syllabus and the levels. And part of the process of organizing the levels was also about organizing the learning steps or identifying the learning steps. And so at each level we have a range of, or repertoire of asana, a range of practice, and a set of principles. And on one level it was an organic process. I didn't really have anything that went before that I could point to and say, I'll do it like this. It was done in retrospect. What I did in effect was I looked at the past year. I went away for a weekend, I looked at the past year, I took all my notes, and I just started to identify the main points and themes that I was teaching in each level, and then I started to organize. And that syllabus has had 2 iterations, but it's really just been sifting or settling. And it's continued and continues today. But at this level, and I read here, I quote from Iyengar, yoga identifies 3 constituent parts to the consciousness. It calls Citta. They are mind, called manas, ego, or self with a small s, called amkara, and intelligence, called buddhi. The mind, as I have said, is the outer layer of the consciousness. Its nature is fickleness, unsteadiness, and inability to make productive choices. It cannot decide between good and bad, right or wrong, correct or incorrect. This is the role of the intelligence, which is the inner layer. Amkara, or ego, is the innermost layer of consciousness. Literally, amkara means I shape. It presents itself as our personalities and assumes the identity of the true self. It is the part of us that hankers after anything that attracts. Whichever layer of consciousness is active expands, causing the others to retract. Yoga describes the relationship between these parts and their relative proportions to one another. And then yoga explains how they react when they encounter the world, which, of course, they do all the time. Yoga points out how we generally react to the outside world by forming entrenched patterns of behavior that doom us to relive the same events endlessly, though in a superficial variety of forms and combinations. Now, I pause there, or stop there.